Hey there, welcome to episode 57 of the Building Heroes podcast. I know you hear so much about the power of gratitude all the time, especially in the US, with it being November and we have Thanksgiving coming up. And, Thanksgiving is all about being thankful, right? So it's all around you. But the problem is, if you're like me, with the holidays added onto your usual busy life, you start thinking, yeah, I should be more grateful, but somehow the stress of life starts adding up and it just feels like another thing to do. And you're just like, who has time to be grateful? So that's why I wanted to do this podcast this time, because there is a real power to gratitude. And while you may feel stressed out during the holiday times, gratitude doesn't have to take any extra time. So that's what this podcast is going to be all about. So when I was about 9 years old, my mom was busy making our Thanksgiving dinner and I was bored. Dinner was hours away. And so I got this idea in my head that I wanted to make a Thanksgiving newsletter. Now, yeah, this was back in the day. And so I pulled out our typewriter. Like, yeah, this must be a crazy long time ago, right? And what I did is I got these 3 sheets of paper and then I put carbon paper in between each one because my dad had picked up some carbon paper on sale somewhere. So I thought, that'd be pretty cool, right? And that's how you had to duplicate back then. Man, I'm aging myself. So crazy. My kids are like, you must have lived in the Stone Age, huh? Anyway, so what I did is I stuck them in the typewriter and I started typing up the first Thanksgiving newsletter for our family. Little did I know that this would be still going in 2021, except for I did delegate it to my daughter. I got smart, right? So because as a kid, I've written this newsletter and each year I kept doing it. Like I said, I felt like I knew a thing or two about gratitude. Yeah. And a lot of times what I would do is I would go to my scriptures or find some quotes or something about thankfulness. So one year I remember this pretty clearly. I found this scripture that said, in everything give thanks. And I didn't put it in because I was like, what? I don't want to give thanks for everything. Some things are bad things and I don't like them. Nope, not me. I'm only thankful for the good things. So instead, I put a different quote in because I didn't like that one. And I think sometimes we do that, right? Anyway, so I would do my token gratitude every year in November. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my home. I'm thankful for my life, that sort of thing, right? Well, some years ago, I got this book called 365 Thank Yous, and I read it and I liked it. It's about a man who decided to write a thank you card to somebody in his life and to do it for a whole year, right? And then, of course, he wrote a book about this experience. As he chronicled these experiences, he learned that writing a card every day of thankfulness was not as easy as he had thought. And some days he really had to stretch to figure out what he was thankful about and who he was thankful for. But overall, it really changed him. Now, I read this book. It was a great story and I loved it. I thought it was really great. So I started trying to write thank you cards too. And I did it for a few days and then I forgot about it. You know how it is, right? So over the years, I found that this whole idea of gratitude kept popping up, but I always kind of felt like, I don't have time for that, or I'm never going to remember, or whatever. And I would hear, talks about how good it was for you. And then I was seeing all these studies from neuroscience, how gratitude is so good for you emotionally, mentally, that sort of thing. But, overall, I kind of really just thought I was grateful. I thought I had gratitude in my life. But did I really? Because when I started looking at things, every time that something came up in my life that I didn't like, I'd complain about it. And every time there was something hard, I'd get mad or blame others or beat myself up. I was not grateful in all things, like that quote that I didn't put in the newsletter because I didn't like it. There were definitely areas in my life that I was not grateful for. And I thought my life was hard, and it was, and I thought nothing was ever going to change because I tried so many times before and it hadn't. And there was a disconnect there. I didn't really know what was going on. So when I first really started committing to a journey of self-improvement, personal self-improvement, I took this course, and in it, there was a thing that they had us do that actually began some really big changes in my life. And one of the things was to write in a gratitude journal every day. I mean, I've heard that my whole life, right? But I've never been able to be consistent with it, and I never really saw the point. So at first, I started filling it up with all those normal things. I'm thankful for my kids. I'm thankful for my car. I'm thankful for forks, stuff like that, where you write things that you write like when you're a kid. And, I'm not really sure if this was one of the rules or if this is one I set for myself, but I made a rule for myself that as I'm writing in this journal, I can't repeat anything, because otherwise I would have just kept writing the same things over and over every day. So as I kept going, I found that I had to get a little more creative, a little more in depth, right? And it was crazy what started to happen. I had to consciously start looking for more good things in my life than I had noticed before. I had to start seeing it in all things in my life. And I also started to realize that gratitude was really a choice. And it was that I had not been making in many cases. For example, when my Suburban got crushed, I could choose to be grateful that no one got hurt, and that we did actually have some savings for a new vehicle, even though we thought that was a couple of years down the road. And then like when my dinner got burned, I could be grateful that I learned a lesson, or at least I hope I did, and that we also still have leftovers in the refrigerator that we could use instead for dinner. I could also choose that when I got really mad at my kids and I said things to them that I probably shouldn't have, I could be grateful that I had the opportunity to apologize and that they were willing to forgive me. So as I kept journaling every day over time, I found that my way of thinking actually started to change. And what most people don't know about me is that I was a pretty negative kid. I'll just be honest about that. If you ask my brothers and sisters, I just have one brother and sisters, they were kind of scared of me because I was so mad and angry all the time because I could just see all the things wrong. As I got a little older, I got a little less negative, still pretty negative. And then as I got to be an adult, I was still negative, but I just kept it to myself. And I didn't say what I was thinking, but I was thinking it. My natural way of thinking was to see everything that was wrong and feel mad about it. So I didn't really like being that way. And I didn't want to be down on myself, but I didn't really know any other way. I didn't know what to do. Plus, in a lot of things that I saw wrong, I was pretty sure I was right about it anyway. But what I didn't know was that as I practiced gratitude, that I would start to see things in a more positive way. And it really was a practice, because I tell you, I was really bad at it at first. And I told you, I was just writing all the kid things. I'm thankful for rubber bands, stuff like that. And I told him too that my natural instinct was to see all the bad things, I see everything wrong. Okay. And gratitude really is a way to shift into seeing things with a different, more optimistic perspective. Okay. Even if you're not born that way. And trust me, I was no Pollyanna, still not a Pollyanna, but getting better. Okay. And yet Pollyanna wasn't a Pollyanna either. I think a lot of times, we don't know the real story of Pollyanna. We just know who she was, and we kind of just know the summary. But a lot of times I think we get annoyed by people who we think are Pollyannas, who are always looking on the bright side. And then we think, yeah, they have no sense of reality. Their life must be perfect. And of course, they're always happy. It's just like, pfft, who needs it, right? But I read Pollyanna to my kids some years ago, and I kind of actually didn't want to because I thought she would be so annoying, like a Pollyanna, right? But the story was really different than I thought. She actually had a terrible life. She had people who were cruel to her. She did not have the life, and she wasn't optimistic all the time. She had plenty to see wrong and plenty to complain about. But instead, she decided to start playing the glad game. And in the glad game, it's essentially gratitude, but she just started to practice seeing what she could be glad about. And soon, not only her life felt a lot better, but she brightened the lives of those around her and started helping them see things with a better perspective too. So as I started practicing gratitude, I did start seeing more and more good things around me. But it wasn't easy. It really wasn't. I'd been ungrateful and complaining for so long and so negative. Then when I tried to find something to be grateful about, my brain would just hop in and just kick out why I shouldn't be grateful for that. And so what I realized is it was a choice of how I was thinking. I could choose to think grateful thoughts, or I could choose to think the negative complaining thoughts. And my brain would rationalize, yeah, but that grateful thing, that's not true. You're just making it up, you know? What's really true is that negative thing. But my brain was just trying to keep me comfortable with what I'd been so used to thinking about for so long. But the more I kept choosing the grateful thought, the more natural it became. Now, one day I knew things had shifted after doing this whole gratitude thing for like a year. And it's interesting because, you know, in the past, I'd tried gratitude challenges or whatever, and it's like, well, that's nice, whatever. But it hadn't really changed me. And so when I did it this time, I was determined to keep going until I could see the results. I had heard enough people talking about gratitude, enough studies saying it changes you. And so I was like, I'm just going to keep going until I see the results. And I had started seeing some results before this, but this one day, I remember this so clearly. I had driven to Costco, and I've done that a lot. So this must have been life-changing, right? And I parked the car, I went in, I did my shopping, checked out the register, pushed my heavy cart back outside the store. And when I got outside, all of a sudden I realized, oh no, I have no idea where I parked the car. And I remembered I had been chatting on the phone when I parked it, and I didn't pay attention at all where I had parked the car. So my thoughts went to, oh my gosh, you are so dumb. Why don't you pay attention to what you're doing? Why are you chatting on the phone anyway? This is so bad. Because now you're never going to find the phone and or the car and blah, 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 right? And then the miracle occurred. And it felt like a miracle to me, okay? Normally, I would have just kept going down that beat up myself, complaining, negativity thought path. I just felt really dumb and bad about myself and gotten angry that I couldn't find the car and had to push this heavy cart all around, right? But then this thought pops into my head. Hey, but you're going to be able to get more steps for your Fitbit today, and you needed a few more. How cool is that? Okay, so why was that such a miracle? It doesn't even seem like a big deal, but this is why it was such a miracle to me. It's because I did not have to consciously choose to think that. It just came in. It just popped right in because I had been practicing thinking grateful thoughts for so long, and it was finally working. It had gotten down in my subconscious, so I didn't have to make that choice to switch my thoughts. Now, probably would even be a bigger miracle if I hadn't thought the negative thoughts in the first place. But for me, this was huge because at first it was so hard. I had to be so aware of all the negative thoughts I was thinking so I could kick them out and consciously choose gratitude thoughts. But in this case, I didn't even have to work at all. It just kicked in. I had changed something in my brain, and that is powerful. And change is really a miracle. when it happens, because we can actually do it and it works, you know? Now, of course, this does not mean I'm perfectly grateful all the time. And it doesn't mean that I never think negative thoughts anymore, right? I do still have to practice. And maybe there will be the day coming when I can think the gratitude thoughts without thinking the negative thoughts first. And sometimes I actually do that, right? I do still have to be aware of the direction I'm going with the thoughts, if it's towards gratitude or towards negativity and complaining, but it's not nearly as hard as it used to be, which is fantastic. And it feels so good, so I'm going to keep practicing for the rest of my life on this, because practicing gratitude has really changed me. I have a much better outlook on life. I feel much more happy, and really I have much more control in life because I know how to control me. Now, there's tons of studies out there, scientific studies about gratitude, which is so cool, right? But the best study is when you try it on yourself. And don't stop until you get there like I did. But some of the long-term studies have said that when you practice gratitude, you're going to have greater success in life, better health, peak performance in anything you do. You're going to have a higher sense of well-being and a faster rate of recovery from surgery. Isn't that interesting? Gratitude is healing. So cool. So instead of just writing thankful lists at Thanksgiving, which you can still do for sure, what if you did, though, start to practice replacing your negative thoughts with a grateful thought instead? Start being more aware of those thoughts you're thinking. And then even if your brain says, yeah, those are true, just say, no, but I'm finding something to be grateful about here, and then find that thing and then choose the gratitude thought. And it doesn't mean that you're naive or you're ignoring all the problems. It just means that you're able to learn how to focus your attention on the hope and the optimism instead of letting all the things that are wrong drag you down. That is not a fun way to live, and I should know. It's much better this way. Have you been able to feel that shift from practicing gratitude? Or did you try to practice gratitude and then give up before it actually changed you? And would you like that better sense of well-being that comes from gratitude? Then I'm going to just encourage you, keep practicing. It's worth it, and you will get there. It's just like when you have to train a dog, if you haven't been used to thinking about gratitude or grateful thoughts, you have to practice. It just doesn't come all at once, right? Keep practicing. It is worth it. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say that the very small amount of time, but big focus that I put into train myself to become more grateful, that has been one of the biggest things to change my life. And I want that for you too. So I would love to hear your experiences about gratitude. And if this encouraged you at all to start practicing more gratitude, and really, it doesn't take extra time, you guys, but feel free to reach out to me on Facebook by messaging me on the Building Heroes Academy page, or you can email me at molly@buildingheroesacademy.com. Or maybe you're also like me, where you had a hard time actually getting yourself to do things long enough to feel the shift. And maybe you need a little extra help with that. So watch for our Black Friday specials for some of the best deals all year long to help you create those miracles in your life.